When it comes to Virgin of the Quarry Lake, it's a surprisingly bloody coming-of-age film focused on one girl looking to have just one thing after a life filled with abandonment. So to summarize the film, Natalia is somewhere in her late teens, and she has experienced a kind of loss that makes it so that while her grandmother Rita may have remained by her side, she, at this point, is not enough. That's when Diego comes in, who Natalia has had her eyes on for ages and even got the chance to hook up with once before. But now she wants more from him. She wants him to be her boyfriend potentially, maybe to go all the way. But with the rise of instant messaging, Diego meets Sylvia and she becomes an instant rival. Now, I should note that this movie is like around early 2000s, so that's why instant messaging is becoming like a big deal at this point. But getting to the point, what Sylvia doesn't know is that, and maybe Rita knows only to a certain point, there's a darkness brewing in Natalia, and it appears getting in the way of her trying to have Diego be her everything, or at least all of her first. There's gonna be deadly consequences to that. So let me begin by saying, when it comes to the highlights and the review section, you're gonna wish that this was a series, and that's just because there's so much that feels like it should and could have been expanded on. Whether you're talking about Rita's relationship with Natalia, Natalia's parents, and why they left. You got Natalia's friends who feel very much underdeveloped, if we're being very honest. Never mind, there's also the issue of Diego, who seems so bland. It's kind of hard to understand why the girl who we're told is liked and potentially loved by many goes for this one guy who doesn't really seem to have any notable attributes besides, I guess, being considered generically attractive. But that's kind of what's the driving forces of wanting this to become a series. For a lot of movies where we kind of say that there's not enough character development, stuff like that, it's something that's a negative. But for this one, you can see there is something to these characters these actors could expand on. It's just, it seems there wasn't either enough time, there wasn't enough money to maybe go that far, or something. So you're left hoping that maybe, even though it doesn't happen a whole lot, but maybe like Blind Spotting, it could expand on what we see. But instead of picking up where this movie leaves off, instead it kind of like remakes the movie but expands it out. With that said, it's pretty much clear at the beginning what the end goal of this movie is, and I appreciate that, since I sometimes feel like a lot of movies kind of meander for most of them, where you don't know where this is going and then it just suddenly ends. But it's clear from the beginning, Natalia wants Diego. A lot of weird stuff happens on her way to trying to get this man. Then comes Sylvia, who is the main challenge or obstacle, and then that's something that Natalia has to overcome. Simple, but the way that this plays out allows for some level of complexity, especially as a bit of brouhaha stuff starts coming about. Natalia starts showing that she might be a little bit crazy, like she literally bit someone's slip off, and it's just, it's not wild. It doesn't go to like the Craft, Jennifer's Bodies type levels, but there's definitely, again, something here you want to see more of and see expanded, because just the taste that you're given is not enough. But I should know, it's not just Natalia who kind of raises a red flag, or not even a red flag, but definitely raises an eyebrow. For Rita seems to have some brouhaha ways, because she seemingly tried to put a curse on Sylvia. And then on top of that, there's this weird homeless man who's in the area. There's this shopping cart which has drippings of blood or something else that's in the middle of the road of the neighborhood. And it's just a lot of weird things that, again, is clearly something that could have been developed more, but instead it's just something that is treated as, it's not treated as something normal to the world that Natalia lives in, but it's definitely treated as something that isn't necessarily abnormal to the point of people freaking out about it. So it makes it where you, again, this information you feel like you're not privy to, that you want to know in order to really get a full sense of what the hell is happening here. Hence why overall we definitely feel like this is worth seeing, and of course we hope that if this movie gets an opportunity to get out there, that hopefully someone takes the interest and puts the money up so this can become expanded into something more. For not only do they need to expand on who Diego is to make him seem like someone who's attractive beyond his physical looks, but maybe also expand on the world that Natalia lives in. Expand who she is, because she clearly got some issues where something needs to be like dived into. And there's a certain level of excitement that I don't think a lot of the movies we talk about give me. For even if they're good movies, I rarely say, oh yeah, this should become a series. Usually it's like, it's good, one and done, or it's good, tell your friends. But having it become a full-on series, or at least a mini-series to kind of really dive into what's happening, is not something we say too often, and that's probably why we're definitely pushing The Virgin of Quarry Lake to be something to check out once either it gets to theaters or else it gets online in some form or fashion.